So that took a few minutes to run, and we have deployed our DLP job. We see it up and running. We're waiting for something to happen in this bucket. Now we also want to trigger based on this pub sub topic that we created. So let's go ahead and link that up with our Cloud function as well. And hopefully this one doesn't take too long. So again, I guess I should probably specify too while we're in here. These are two separate functions that we're creating. We have the create DLP job and the resolve DLP job. So basically create is going to handle files being uploaded. Resolve DLP will handle when the pub subtopic gets information from it. So basically the job is created, job being the DLP job, then we're going to manage that with pub sub after that. And once this deploys, we will just make sure that they're both active. We should see little green check marks here, but this is going to be a nice terminal-based way of understanding that as well. Back in a moment. All right, so life is good. Second function deployed. Now let's make sure that we have, so I refreshed up here. We see Resolve DLP. Now let's clear describe DLP job. We see active. Again, we see the little green check mark. For Resolve DLP, we should also see something very similar and get a lot of metadata and all that fun stuff, but basically active, that's what we want to see. And if you check in the trigger in your Cloud function, we see create is triggered on the bucket, resolve is triggered on the topic, which is what we want. Now, what we're going to do is let's test some things out. So we are going to go into, let's just go into the root, Dlp Sample Data. And we have a bunch of files in here. So we have text files and CSV files, your typical data file-based storage, right? In sample S20, we see some social security number-y looking type metrics. In 15, we don't necessarily see anything sensitive, right? And maybe it is sensitive, but we don't intuitively know that. But we do know that if, say, an automated script were to be searching for something comprising 3 numbers dash 2 numbers dash 4 numbers, the odds it is somebody's social security number are pretty high. So we can actually take a quick peek here too. So let's do head, what is this, sample S20. So we see, again, the same information actually here. And we'd see something similar with these other ones. So let's go ahead and gsutil-mcp everything to our quarantine bucket. And what this command is going to do, if you don't quite remember, gsutil is going to basically copy every file. So that's what the asterisk is doing here. We could do it one by one if we wanted. Copy every file in our current directory to our quarantine bucket, and that's going to be Fredericks-680-quarantine. So they are going to sit there. So we see all the copies happening. Now we can say gsutil ls gs Fredericks 680 quarantine. And we should, as we do here, see those files, right? All we're doing is doing a copy and paste in the terminal. It should look very familiar if you've ever used Bash or PowerShell to copy files over. CP and ls are the Linux commands. They're aliased in PowerShell for you, but it's just copy file, basically. Prefacing it with this gs://, that's the cloud storage designator. Now, if we go over to our Cloud Functions page, which we still have open, we can check the logs for DLP function. So I'm going to go ahead and go into it. They have you clicking the dots and then look at the log. Here we go. We should see stuff happening, which we do. Function triggered for file, function triggered for file. Unable to read path. Okay, so this is kind of what I was expecting to see happen. Because we did not create a DLP service account, we just tried cheating it. We are getting permissions errors. We can also go over to DLP and see if anything's happening there. No rows to display. Okay. This does make sense because we didn't actually create the account. Can I... Be right back. Okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to deauthorize DLP. So let's first go over to our cloud storage buckets. Let's delete all these files in quarantine. And while that's going on, let's check our sensitive bucket. Yeah, nothing happened here. That's good. All right, let's go to our DLP. There are APIs. I'm going to deauthorize DLP. Disable API. Oh, okay, that's fine. So I'm probably going to leave all this in because I like showing you when I fail. This is a class, this isn't a tutorial for me to look good on the internet. I'm absolutely fine looking like an idiot, which you are all probably well aware of at this point. I skipped a step in the beginning of the Codelab because I was trying to fly through things to get this demo done within a reasonable amount of time for all of you. And this led to a longer video, which means you get to see where I screwed up. What happened was I got to the step where I enabled the API. I did not create credentials thinking I could just do an end around and authorize my basic service account. So let's create credentials here. I want to, let's close off our shell. I need a service management, service usage. Now the question is, why Frederick's DLP? This is not that service account. Okay. Select a role, DLP, DLP administrator. Let's just make you a DLP administrator. What else do we have for DLP? Because I think what may have changed is that inspect, redact, and de-identify content. Well, admin should subsume that. Continue. Grant users access. We don't care about that. Okay. So what I think happened is it's possibly not something that I skipped over, but we didn't get a default DLP account, and I'll probably run through this again just to see if it would do that or not. But the app account that I have here did not have the correct credentials to trigger Google Cloud Functions with DLP and all that. So we added a new service account. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Let's open up our shell again. We're going to go back a few steps to where we authorized our service accounts. And that was here. Yes, yes. So I want this particular command, and I want this service account to have viewer rights. All right, let's try typing this out. G-Cloud projects. Add IAM policy binding Google Cloud project. Member service account. And then all of that is the service account. So we're going to copy and paste that there. And then let's give you the role/viewer. Don't think that was wrong. So let's try now again and see if we can copy our files over. Okay, so those have been copied. Let's go over to our Cloud Functions. Cloud Functions. And check our logs. We do see activity. Hey, look at that. Function status okay. Hopefully that is what we want to see here. Because before we were getting a whole lot of errors, right? Okay, so let's go back to where we need to be in this lab. So we have function okay. Now let's go over to DLP jobs. Just DLP. We should see activity here. We are not seeing any jobs. Oh, there they are. Okay. I had to click inspect jobs. So this is one of those other things where the page is slightly different. So we see done lots of jobs happening here. Okay, done, 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 done. Here it's jobs and job triggers. I was on job triggers, but I didn't see anything. Inspect jobs. Life is good. Anything under risk jobs? Nothing there yet. Okay, so let's look at one of these guys. Findings 8. First name, email address, phone number, social security number. This is what was found by this data loss prevention API. I didn't configure anything, we're just using the defaults. Can you extend it to something else? Yes, absolutely. Okay, so what we should also be able to check now is what is inside our quarantine bucket. So gsutil ls gs Fredericks 680 quarantine. Nothing there. Where'd they go? Well, if we go back over to our storage buckets, we should see, and this next step I clicked over here is basically just getting to the cleanup page. Quarantine should be empty. Good, good, good. Sensitive or non-sensitive. Look at all these files that are not sensitive. Sensitive. Here is some data. What's in 05? Well, if I actually look at it, you can pull it down. We have some email addresses. Could be sensitive data, right? Don't want to publish things on the internet. So what have we done? We watched me screw up royally, which is always lovely to see, but that was just because I didn't have the correct service account created. It was a very simple fix. I just manually created a service account. I gave it the DLP admin role, which probably is too much power for a production level activity here. My guess is that I probably could have done the same thing with our default service account, gave it DLP rights from the GUI, and then it probably would have been fine. But creating the separate service account gives us a nice separation of concerns. We did that. We created some storage buckets. We have a triggered Cloud function watching the buckets. Once that trigger occurs, we basically create a pub subtopic to send data to DLP. DLP will then categorize things, and based on what DLP finds, we'll move contents from a generic quarantine bucket, meaning nobody can see it because it's quarantined, to either sensitive, meaning for your eyes only, or non-sensitive, public-ish. So to clean this mess up, we are just going to go ahead and delete our project. For you, you can also go through and delete everything manually if you would prefer. There's a lot of moving pieces here, so I'm just going to get rid of the whole thing. But hopefully this was useful for you. I find these kinds of multi-step, multi-service projects quite interesting myself. So I'll see you next time in the next video. Bye, everybody.